Hi, this is It's Going to Be Okay with Dr. Roseann, and I am Dr. Roseann. And if you're new to me, please know that what I am all about is using science backed methods, tools, resources to support children's behavior and mental health. So you don't have to do it on your own. You're getting expert guidance from me, Dr. Roseann, so that your child can have lifelong mental wellness. And these tools are only as good as if you use them. So know that everything I do is actionable. You just need to actually do them. So hopefully you'll feel inspired. And let's talk about ways to cultivate flexibility in kids. This is the third in the series. And we're talking about some of my favorite parenting hacks, some of the things that Dr. Rowe and Mr. Hodge do, and we love it. And we don't have perfect kids. So I don't know too many perfect kids. Every once in a while, you meet a perfect kid. But these are three of my favorite things to do to really help kids in the process of being flexible. So my favorite thing that we do in the Hodge house is we get them laughing. So even when your kid is, right, we call it the Hulk and Bruce Banner. My kids know this, and we talk about it like it's, like Bruce is at our house, and we get them laughing. It's a great diffuser. You don't neglect the issue, okay? But when you're regularly using humor, you're really focusing on teaching your kids problem-solving skills. Humor is a great way to stop the Hulk from coming out. And I use this with my kid with PANDAS. So I don't want to hear, because John Carlo is easy, I'm just going to say, okay? Right, we would have had 4 kids if he came first. I'm just saying, we would have. I'm not going to lie. Maybe 3, but there definitely would have been another. Maybe a little, I wanted a Gemma. So it would have been all boys anyway. There's boys everywhere. But in all seriousness, getting kids laughing is a diffuser. It teaches them to focus on what's important, what skills do I need? And I use humor like, really? Oh, I mean, is that the puberty talk, or do you know what to do? And because we act like this all the time, it's just part of what we do, and our kids feel good about it. We're not shaming them. It's like, it just diffuses things and lets them know what's important. So laughter is amazing. And oh God, it makes parenting so much better, So, and again, we still think we're the coolest parents around. I'm just saying, I'm my 12-year-old starting to realize that's not exactly the case, but he still thinks his dad is the coolest. I'm just saying, because he kind of is. So letting them know it in advance. So when you have a rigid, inflexible kid, and I think this works for everybody, letting your kids know what the expectations are, where you're going, what you're doing. And you have to be careful if you have a kid with anxiety or OCD. You're not going to provide constant reassurance, but just let them know what the plan is. Like, hey, like today, it's a Sunday, and I'm here filming, and I let them know in advance. I let them know what time. Of course, I had to get Tony over, because if I don't call him by 9:00, he's out with his bocce buddies all day doing X, Y, and Z. But I had to let everybody know what the plan was in advance. I tell them, I move on. Now, again, you want to watch it. If your kid is constantly checking in, asking a lot of questions, you probably have a very anxious kid or a kid with intrusive thoughts. There's a different way to handle that. And you want to say, well, what do you think we're supposed to be doing? Because again, coping skills, right? And letting them be empowered by it, because it's a slippery slope when you have an anxious kid between providing reassurance and comfort, right? So reassurance means you're giving them too much reassurance and they're relying on you like a safety vest, right? And we don't want to do that. Really important. So letting kids know in advance often combats anticipatory anxiety. I can tell you a million times, even as a mom, my Max always has anticipatory anxiety. So I let him know one time. And, those behaviors would show up in advance of things. There were times we didn't tell him we were going to Disney World. And then we would just say, today we're going to Disney World. And he was much better. Where John Carlo's like, he's got to know, he's got to check off things. He's not anxious about it, but he's a Virgo. He's got to know in advance. You know what I'm saying, you Virgos? So knowing your kids and also supporting them and what they need, but letting them know in advance helps diffuse a lot of blowups, I feel. So with the cautionary tale. So giving your kids opportunities to make choices. You hear me say this a lot. It's really important. You want your kids to make choices. So if you can do anything and present two options, do you like the blue one or do you like the navy blue one? Whatever it is, letting your kids have control. What do you think we should have for dinner tonight? I don't know. Well, okay, go look in the fridge, or we're at the grocery store and I want you to pick it out. I mean, I do that to my kids all the time. And I make them decide, even when I'm cooking. So I want them to not rely on me for everything. So they always cook with me. My kids literally are like, oh, are you cooking? And they come down and they help me, or they're, stop what they're doing and stuff, because it's a bonding activity. I love cooking and I think it's a great learning. But give them opportunities safely in your family, what works in your family system, what you're comfortable with. We know that authoritarian dictatorship discipline is associated with poor mental health. You want your kids to be good decision makers, whether you're doing autonomy supportive parenting or you're doing straight authoritative parenting, positive parenting. These are all evidence-based approaches that support kids in making decisions for themselves, and it's associated with great mental health. So I hope that you have found support in a path to helping your kids be more flexible. Know that when your kid has a mental health problem, anxiety, OCD, PANDAS, depression, learning disabilities, autism, ADHD, those are the big ones. They are going to be more rigid. And whether it's because their brain is wired with rigidity, because I can see it in a QEEG brain map, or the anxiety, the worry, the depression is causing them to be more egocentric, you can work with them. There's ways to teach them. There's ways to support them. It's a lot easier when you calm the brain down. So calming the brain down, teaching new skills, you are your child's best teacher. And if you need help, go to drroseann.com/help. We'll match you to the right solution. And gonna say it again, nobody regrets getting help. They only regret when they don't. So if you feel overwhelmed by this, get help from a licensed mental health professional.